And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say it
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Execution there was horrible. Oh my God, I thought I had that figured out. Joe DeLeone, Sean Anderson, Hack City, 2 former college football players from the University of Rhode Island. I was so caught up watching that intro that I completely forgot to remove the stupid slate that was sitting over our faces. And I almost started talking with that sitting on the screen. God, that new open is awesome, man. The audio, the video. I'm juiced up about that. I hope our listeners appreciate it. I have no idea if they do or not.
I think it's really no. Yeah, I was just staring. I think. Look, I hope they like it. Thank you, Joe, for helping contribute and building it out. I don't know how you are able to match what I was picturing in my head to what the product was, but it was very good. I just wanted to publicly commemorate you for a job well done.
Well, Rack likes it, so that's all we really need to know. It's an audience of one. We really only do this show just for Rack. We gladly appreciate that he likes it. Today we've got another mailbag episode, as we're going to be doing every single Thursday, or every Thursday that we can do this. We'll be answering listener questions. If you missed this week's round of gathering questions, make sure you are subscribed or followed to us at Joe DeLeone at Sanderson Radio, and you can drop a comment when we poll for questions next Thursday morning. We're also going to be talking a little bit about the outcomes here for what's happening with Alabama football, guys entering the transfer portal, and we're going to get to some other silly little things, as we always do. Ravens guys eating peanut butter and jellies like it's the only thing that is available to them. Something disturbing. I don't know if it's true or not that we found out about the TSA, all that coming up and more. Sean, let's talk about Alabama. Oh, wait. Sorry. The read. Can you share with us very quickly a word from BetOnline?
Well, you can't bet on Alabama anymore this year until the season starts. But what you can do, you can bet NBA, you can bet NHL. I saw a tweet of a beer in Fenway Park talking about how excited people are. I said, you know what? That is going to be quite the get back to the season, drinking in the ballpark, eating hot dogs, betting on the Nats, and knowing I'm not going to hit because the Nats stink. But betting on baseball, fun. Gambling, fun. NFL playoffs this weekend. Head to BetOnline. That's where you should be betting at. You shouldn't be betting anywhere else but BetOnline. Sign up with the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus. That's where you should be going. All the action, all the teams, send it there. BetOnline.ag.
Thank you, Sean. Appreciate you doing that. Now, if you want to go bet some money on the win total for Alabama, I wonder what they have it set at. There has been a lot that has happened since legendary head coach Nick Saban has retired. We've talked about this. We've broken down what it means for the football program. We've analyzed the hire of Kalen Deboers from Washington, but a lot has happened since. There's been this huge mass exodus, this huge wave of backup freshmen, redshirt freshmen that have entered the portal, which I think was expected. We were expecting to see a lot of the back end guys that weren't recently recruited by Kalen Deboers, that weren't familiar with him, to want to see where else that they could go so they could get on the field early. They weren't given the same promises that Nick Saban and the previous coaching staff gave them. But here we are now, where 2 of the best young freshmen in college football, in Caleb Downs, the star safety, and Kadyn Proctor, who was a developing and improving, really dominant left tackle for them. Both of those guys are entering the portal. On top of that, they've also lost Isaiah Bond. They've lost Roydell Williams. And I would not be shocked if there are not more potential eventual departures from this team. My biggest thing here, Sean, should we worry? what does this mean? Does this actually mean that there is going to be a drop-off for Alabama in 2024?
Yeah, it will be. Kalen Deboers is going to put together his team, and it's going to be a well-coached team, but there's a drop-off. You can't have this many people leave. You can't have this many people leave for other good schools. Who wins next year right now in your head, Florida State or Alabama? One-on-one matchup. Because Florida State's it's closer than closer than you're losing a lot of guys. Alabama typically recruits pretty talented dudes out of high school, or if it's a transfer, then they're pretty good, you would say, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Losing a lot of really good players, and even if they haven't fully tapped in or they're not ready to see the field, that's impactful for the program. It's bad. Alabama fans should panic. Alabama fans should be upset. They should be worried. Why wouldn't you? Be worried. Enjoy it. That's part of the sport. Welcome to this side of the aisle. All right, you were on mom's side of the aisle for forever, and it's nice, and they're clinking champagne, and now you're on dad's side, and everyone's got beers, and everyone's got beards and tattoos, and it's just a scrap fest to try to make it to the altar. All right, you couldn't.
These analogies, I don't understand where that one was going.
Alabama fans get to enter reality with the rest of us. Joe, how was your time been as a Notre Dame fan? You're a bigger team of Notre Dame than
frustrating.
I am. Frustrating. Do you think Alabama has been frustrated in the last 17 years? No.
Okay, so that's a really good point that you're bringing
I'm reveling in it.
That's a great point that you're bringing up here. I think panicking is unjustified in this situation because they're just now in the normal sphere of what it's like to be a fan of a college football team that is not named Georgia. It is the world where there are up and down years. There's years where you're going to lose a lot of guys in the portal, and it's going to happen naturally with a coach transition. As I said a second ago, there's going to be years where you don't have the quarterback on the roster. You don't have the defensive backs to perform and be as good as they were. I mean, we've got pretty good evidence that Kalen Deboers builds those types of teams with what we just saw in the national championship game, that they didn't have the interior defensive linemen, they didn't have the interior offensive linemen, but they still had a really good football team. I, at the end of the day, have said this before, that Alabama fans need to temper their expectations.
No, you're being ridiculous.
I know that they're not going to. I know
a crazy person.
I know it sounds ridiculous to say.
Are you trying to be funny?
No, I'm not. I know that they're not going to, but at the end of the day, the product that we saw at Washington is more comparable to what Alabama is going to be than anything that Nick Saban put out there. Kalen Deboers is not going to turn Alabama into what Nick Saban had. He's just not going to. We don't have enough evidence to prove that he's capable of doing that. Can he get Alabama to the peak of what Washington could have been, which is an 11-win team that maybe has some roster holes, that is winning a lot of big football games and goes to the playoff, but maybe falls short? Maybe one year they do actually finally win it. But I don't think that, as we're starting to see now, I don't think that they're going to be a consistent contender. I just don't think that that's realistic to expect.
It's unrealistic to expect any team to be a consistent contender. What we saw.
Georgia, I mean,
right now, that's it. You have one out of 200, whatever it is total. Look, now we get. I'm ecstatic. Now we get parity. We get even more.
Oh, I thought you meant ecstatic that Alabama isn't good. But yeah, no, you're right. There is more parity.
I am ecstatic that they're not good. You know why? Because I've had a bunch of cornball Patriots fans in my ear for a decade. And all they did was whine about how they weren't good enough while winning Super Bowls. And what did Alabama fans do? Pretty much the same thing. I think they partied a little more. They partied hard, and they really get after it after the wins. But spoiled, jaded fan bases coming back to reality and watching the face of a friend of yours, Joe, change over years, where you get to see that the sports team has been taking a toll on them, like they have with us. It's phenomenal. I can't get enough of that content. I like the meltdown. I like the winners that couldn't fathom losing. Now you're losing. And it's also crazy for me to say, because they got a great coach and they're still going to get a great class, and they're going to recruit their asses off, and they're going to work the portal. and they're going to do a lot of great things, and they might sneak into the playoff next year in the 12-teamer.
Yeah.
That's still meltdown enough for Alabama for me to revel in it, for me to bathe in their sadness.
You know, it's kind of like it's kind of like everyone's got that one really rich friend that you go to a bar or something, and or a club, and you can't get in, and they try to pay the bouncer, and the bouncer tells them to F off. That's what it's kind of like now, that it's a reality check. They're used to everything going their way and everything going according to plan. And I'm not trying to sit here and do the whole yippee Alabama's down, but I agree with you. The Patriots angle is the part that I like, because we in college, it was so unbelievably annoying having had focused on sports media and majored in sports media and been around all of these kids that were huge New England sports fans. And we couldn't talk about anything else when we did student radio, when we did all these things. I remember the NFL draft. It was the week of the NFL draft, and we were doing student radio. And one of the co-hosts on the show that we sat in on was like, no, we have to talk about for 30 minutes the Red Sox, who were World Series contenders at the time, signing this backup relief pitcher. We're not going to talk about the NFL draft. The NFL draft is more important than the Red Sox pitching rotation or their relief pitchers. My whole point is, I am annoyed, as equally as you're saying, now the more that I think about it, by that spoiledness of certain fan bases. And it's nice. It's nice that
it's
they can
really
understand.
Nice. And I like that you're not harboring any resentment towards WRIU still to this day. I like that.
I harbor so much resentment. What are you talking about?
What's wrong with you? That was, what is that, 7 years ago now?
I hold so many grudges. You don't understand. You should understand.
How are you still living like that?
It's motivation. How do you think that I stay so motivated? People piss me off, and I think about them daily.
Oh.
That's what I do.
I don't know. I am a fan of bad teams, and I got to see it firsthand in real life outside of sports this past year. I went when I was in Amsterdam. I was with, I would call Lothario, a guy that's very good with women. Brags about how good he is with women, and then uber confident guy. And
is
you
who
can't
I think it is, or is this somebody?
No.
Okay.
You haven't met him.
Okay,
but a very extremely confident dude. But he's not on the tall side. And when we were in Amsterdam, I am on the tall side. So he had a little bit of humble pie, whereas previously in DC, he runs circles around me, crushes me in DC. Got to go to the Dam, talking to the tall women. They're interested in the tall fella. So I got a little bit of that this year, and I need more of it. I need more of the Alabamas, and I'm a hater. And I'm a world-class hater when I want to be. And I will exercise that all season with Alabama. I will relish in it.
Thanks for letting everybody know you got laid when you were in Amsterdam.
I didn't say that. I did not.
Any final thoughts on this before we turn the page? Because I don't know if it's like it's an impactful topic. And I think that it's one that's kind of been drawn out a little bit. It's huge news that Caleb Downs could possibly be going to Georgia. I think it's really funny that Kadyn Proctor's out there, and there's all these SEC teams that would love to have a premier left tackle, and he might just end up at Iowa, which just feels like such an abyss for him to disappear into and then to reemerge in the NFL draft. Like we're never going to hear about Kadyn Proctor again until he declares for the NFL draft.
Probably not, which is fine. I'm as much as I'm overreacting, and if I seem like I'm happy, I am, but I'm not that happy because I know that Deboer is a machine. I mean, just an hour ago, Austin Mack, 4-star quarterback, going to Bama. Following.
Yeah, okay. How goddamn hard is it to recruit a kid that was already committed, that was already at Washington to come?
How hard is it to keep a kid at Alabama? We're seeing that dudes are ready to move.
It's like calling your ex back up and being shocked that she's willing to hook up. Like, yeah, of course.
You think my exes would hook back up with me? No shot in ever loving hell.
Wait, by the way, speaking of which, we're already, our next topics are not really totally sports related. You said that you were gonna, could we get an update on the date last night, or you don't want to talk about that?
Oh, it was a nice date.
Okay.
I made some choices. I don't know. I don't know if I would make the next time. Made a reservation. It's nice kind of trendy restaurant. A little tapas, small place. I walk in. I got.
Wait, is this the same tapas place that you've told me you've taken multiple girls on dates before?
No. Wait,
okay.
No. I went to DC. And it was nice. But it was. I didn't even realize until I got there I was gonna be at the bar, and that's where I was just. I guess I didn't have a table seating, so I didn't love that. I thought that was dumb. I got not called out, but examined at the end of the date because it was like 17 degrees out. It was very cold in DC. And I just had on my stupid little corduroy thin long sleeve.
Yeah.
And she, noted, hey, you didn't bring a jacket. And then I can't bring a jacket that's going to keep me warm on a date. And I started to explain, I'm like, no, I didn't want to wear a jacket. But my jackets, Joe, and I have an example here. I can't pull up in the biggest jacket of all time.
You're now reaping what you've sowed. You have these obnoxious jackets that are fire hydrant traffic cone colors.
And I got this other big jacket, which is this one's a little better for a date. I've had to utilize both. But it's still I can't have this. I can't have myself in a puffer on it. I will look.
What's wrong with that?
It's too big. I'm too big because everyone's got puffers in my house, and Sam got a massive one. And now whenever he wears it out, I'm like, that's what it's like being next to me at the bar because he's got another 4 inches protruding from him, and I didn't know how to get out of that. And then to close it out, she's get it right back to her spot. She's like, awesome, yeah, see you again. I said awesome. I didn't say sounds good. I sounded like a kindergartner saying goodbye to teacher at the end of the day. So the film, I really, at times I wish I had the film, all 22 of my dates, so I could go back and watch and make notes. I don't want it from last night. I don't, because I think I did good. I think there might be a second date, but I can't do it. No.
Can I pitch like a really bad idea?
Oh, sure.
Okay, so we fiddled with the me making the East Coast move back at some point, and to be determined fully. If that does happen, we both end up in New York City, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Would you allow me to come on these dates and like sit at like a different table and just to observe so that we can talk about it afterwards? I think that would be fine. I think it'd be good content. I think that'd be really good content if we could provide a secondhand opinion of everything that you did wrong.
Oh yeah, you picked your nose 22 minutes in. Oh god, where do you stand on? What's your? Well, you probably ordered wine, right? What cocktail did you?
The date drink?
Yeah. What's your date drink?
I usually do, or I used to do when I was single. I would do bourbon, but now I'd probably do a tequila soda. I was a little didn't feel great about the tequila soda, but I don't actually think that's.
I think it's fine. Choice. I think it's like true neutral for date drink. I go whiskey sour because I know I like them, and it comes in a nice glass and it's got the heavy ice cubes. I think it's a good. That's what I go with.
What's a Miami Vice?
I don't know. It's got to be like pinkish at some point, right? Oh, let me see here. Miami Vice cocktail.
Yeah, we're gonna find out that this is.
I will not order. No way.
Our listeners in these weird drinks and these names, and this is probably one of the most.
Nobody wants to drink normal.
2 ounces of rum, 1 cup of strawberries, 1 ounce of lime juice, 1 ounce of simple syrup, 2 ounces of cream of coconut, 2 ounces of pineapple juice, and then a pineapple slice to garnish. Ryan says whiskey sour. But the Miami Vice, the Miami
Vice right now. I'll get after it.
That has to be the most feminine drink order that you could order on a first date. Will, I'm sorry, man. I think that the date would end before it even got started. If
that's a tough hole to dig out of with that drink cup because
what else would be worse here? Like what else would be like really questionable that would and I'm not talking about like batshit crazy, like if you ordered like a Jaeger bomb, and you just fucking ripped it at the table.
I mean, I like that we both went to pin it. Yeah, I really think I don't. There's just so many. Vodka cranberry would be tough. That'd be a tough first date drink for a dude because
vodka cran. Or I'm trying to think.
Vodka Red Bull would be awful. We actually talked about vodka Red Bulls. That'd be bad. Do you do espresso martinis?
No, wait.
I think
okay. Espresso martini on a first date.
But you gotta be slender. You gotta be your size. You can't be my size drinking an espresso martini.
Yeah, you can't. The espresso martini is it's a good going out drink. It is a good drink when you're with a group of people and you do everybody let's get an espresso martini.
You want to get an espresso before we leave? Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6:00. You're trying to get you just had dinner. You're getting the early buzz. You're getting the early energy. You're rolling out for the night. But no, you don't do that on a date though. Wait. You're not gonna be able to order that at the restaurant. If you showed up with like a big baggy coat and then you pulled out of the coat,
yeah, sure,
a paper bag with a Four Loko in it, didn't order a drink at the restaurant, and you proceeded to drink that the whole time, I think that would be fantastic. What's a Midori sour again?
I think it's an old man drink. Is it? Sorry, I'm cracking one of these. I kind of got appetized.
Midori sour. This is a bright green.
God, that's not what we're looking for, people.
It's Midori liquor, lime juice, lemon juice, and soda water.
Now, here's a question.
Green. What is that? What are you opening?
Oh, it's just some Alizé that I was gifted. I started thinking about these fruity drinks and I wanted one.
Ryan says Long Island iced tea. I don't think that's a bad drink.
Oh, that'd be first date drink? That's bad.
What do you mean?
Long Island iced tea?
It's a little weird.
It's not a manly drink. That's not a confident unless you really don't give a fuck what this person is going to think.
Wait, do you know what a Long Island iced tea is?
Yeah, it's iced tea and a bunch of vodka, right?
No, it's not. So this is the misconception. It is a concoction of multiple types of liquor, and the coloring comes out in the consistency. You're a lunatic. It comes out in the consistency of, and it looks like iced tea, which is why they call it strawberry Capri Sun from Will. I have not seen Will as a commenter before, and I'm starting to like Will's.
Will's got some ideas. I like it.
Yeah.
Joe Martini's got to be too pretentious, right? You can't do that.
Yeah, that's pretty.
I know like 3 people that moved to New York recently, and all they do is post martinis on their stories. So I'm like,
you think that you're cooler than you actually are. You don't actually like the taste. Olive oil in a drink too. I mean, you're just trying to shit your pants. I think that those people don't understand.
Would a martini put you out of commission?
Well, I mean, they say that olive oil, just drinking it, is not a good thing for. It's not bad for you, but it's.
I did see the ice cream. People have been trying that, and they're shitting their pants.
They're shitting their pants. All right, let's move back to a football topic.
Oh, sure.
There was news today that this was floated out there preseason, and it's kind of been confirmed now that this is a real thing that's happening. In the lunacy that is modern college football, we have a football player, Cam McCormick, a Miami tight end, that has been granted a 9th year of eligibility. Now, if I recall correctly, his 9th year actually is not this upcoming year, and he has multiple years after this year because of multiple injury issues that he has endured. He's also got the COVID eligibility. He gets a red shirt. There's all of these layers that this kid gets 9 years. Maybe this is his last season because the graphic that was posted says last ride. Regardless, 9 years is an absurd amount. I don't understand how the NCAA can look at this and say, you know what, this checks out. 9 years, if I'm correct, would imply that he showed up before we got to college.
I think he was a class of 16 guy.
Okay. I mean, regardless, the kid's 26.
Yeah.
He is a year older than us, and he is eligible and playing football. I don't know. And I also, for context here, good friend of ours that we played with, Montana, was on the Rhode Island football team. And he's been telling me a ton about all the like different things that have happened for Rhode Island when he was there for the last year, which was this past year. Part of the things that he was telling me about was how Rhode Island starting quarterback Kasim Hill was 26 years old. And while he got along with the team, it was a weird vibe. That is a grown-ass man that is showing up in the locker room, that's going to the bars, hitting on 21-year-olds. It is a really weird vibe. So I'm just reiterating this. I don't know why you as an adult male can want to be a part of a group of guys that are 18 years old. It's just weird.
Do you remember when we were living with Burke and he was in grad school and we were like 20 and he was 23?
Yeah,
and it felt like he was like the only grown up. I couldn't imagine being on a team now, on a college football team now, and doing and for this, if the tight end were to walk into this place, Joe, this is my church. This is a little picture of my church. God would tell him to his face to give it up. He's told you 3 times. He's told you for 4 years. It's time. Now, I respect that you're trying to get some money in the market. You're
get free school, and Ryan makes a good point.
You do it. You if they're giving you the opportunity, take it. Go crazy. It's not what it does. How does it doesn't affect me, but we got to start searching for some jobs at some point now.
Wait. Here, actually, Ryan, I'm pushing back on this. If this was an individual that was pre-med or pre-law and used this as an opportunity to get part of his law school, his MBA paid for, his which Miami has a good business school. If he was getting his law school paid for, I would argue that this is really good strategy. Great for him. He was a communications major. A PhD in communications is fucking worthless. And as two people that were journalism and communication majors, even getting an undergrad degree in that is a waste of time and money. If he wants to go ahead and teach, go for it. But I seriously doubt that. The guy's just trying to play football. If you're going to be strategic and get school paid for, get something that's hard to get and that's more expensive than most people can afford. Go do that. He just wants to hang around and be a part of the football team. That's the reality that we're dealing with here.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. I should have bookmarked it, but somebody posted like his I think it's his LinkedIn page shows what
I think it was right at CFB.
Advertising, and then he got his master's in sports and advertising, and now it's like baccalaureate or whatever that word is. And I don't know if that means you're going for your PhD or not. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like Buddy likes playing ball. He's gotten injured a ton, and he just wants to stay around. And you know what? We had guys that stayed around. Qvon was 24, 25 when we were playing, and Qvon Jones ruined my bottom row of my teeth. I remember that. He shifted them bad, and now they're uneven because I got ear-holed real bad during spring ball by a 25-year-old linebacker. And I was a redshirt freshman. I'll never forget it. For other players' safety, he shouldn't be playing. Too much of an advantage. You're telling me you got a guy that's been in the weight room for 7 years?
Yeah, but like if he was like a real threat to really do any damage, he'd be in the NFL. He'd be in the NFL.
But you know what? If you want to go out and you want to party in Miami and have a bunch of fun, being on a college football team is when it's good, it's the most fun you could have. And I'm sure NFL's fun, but then you have adult responsibility as a part of it. But if everything's clicking and all the boys are sending and everyone's excited after a win, doesn't top it. It just doesn't, because everyone's finding the party. Everyone's seeing everybody again. So I get the appeal, but it's time to move on.
All right, stop drinking out of that. Is that Alizé? Is that what you're drinking?
I told you it was.
I didn't hear what you said. Will brings up a good point here. Aren't there international guys that come out and play D1 and they're 27 plus? The other thing too that we encountered, I don't know if you remember, we had a lot of guys on the soccer team at Rhode Island that were in their mid to late 20s that were international guys that kind of, Yeah, did you never talk to
I
any
had
of the
no
soccer team
clue.
guys?
I don't think I ever talked to the male
Oh.
soccer team. I talked to the women's soccer team more.
I was a little more social than you were. Which isn't true. Which definitely isn't
That's
true.
a crazy thing to say.
Well, no,
That is
you were social with our team. I was a little bit more social outside of the team.
You had
circle.
some forced intersport interactions, is what
that
happened.
actually is kind of true. He does bring up a good point. I have been at camps and stuff around these 27-year-old guys. I still think it's weird. Like I still had been as like a 20-year-old being at camps and working out with these guys. Like it's just a weird vibe being around a guy.
They should go to the new football, the XFL, whatever that merged league is. That's where they should go. Try out there. If not, just go to college.
Can you lead in the Ravens Uncrustables news story that we found out this week? I thought that this was awesome when you sent this to me.
I just like being able to give an example to listeners about the different types of characters that are in a football locker room. You have your Northeast guys, you have your New York guys, corn-fed, middle America dudes, no neck, all that fun stuff. West Coast guys, they're sweet, they're cool,
soft,
a little softer. And then you got your mid-Atlantic guys like me and Joe, pretty normal. But then there's the South. And not just the South, there's Florida. And the Florida dudes in the locker room are an unbelievable personality because I think I would describe it as a nutritionist's worst nightmare and a skill coach's best dream. Like because they can run all day. They're hopped up on sugar all the time. They eat hot chips and candy and soda. Dudes from Florida, not good, not great nutrition. And I guess the Ravens at some point via the Baltimore Banner, I guess they spoke with Sarah Snyder, the Ravens director of sports nutrition. And it's reported that the Ravens eat 30 to 60 Uncrustables a day. That would be 7,500 in a season. The nutritionist Snyder stated, "I'm surprised at how many people eat at least one PB&J a day, and they don't get tired of them." Welcome to football with Florida dudes, because you don't see this quantity of junk food or uber processed healthy food than you do with Florida guys like like Lamar Jackson that just want to eat PB&Js and play football. It's one of my favorite genres of football players. It's screw the healthy eating. I'm faster than you, and I'm gonna play football longer than you because I'm from Florida and this is what we were raised on. I loved it. I love to see that it carried on to the NFL. And if I had to guess, I would say that it was Lamar himself that is the shot caller for the Uncrustables revolution within the Baltimore Ravens franchise.
Yeah, I don't even know how to really evaluate this. It's just hilarious that you got a bunch of grown men that are eating like children. I mean, I love Uncrustables.
They're
think
fantastic.
If I, as an adult, having full autonomy of my diet and what I buy, I have to deliberately buy a limited amount of things. I don't have any snacks in my apartment because I know I will overeat them. If I could buy Uncrustables, I would mow through them. That would probably be the only thing that I would eat. So I respect the hustle. I respect the movement here. I would love to find out if we could get like a full, maybe that'd actually be a good idea. I wonder if I emailed all of the communications points of contact at all of the NFL teams, if they could ask the nutritionist how many Uncrustables they're eating on a daily basis so that we could put together a nice graphic of because top 5 teams by Uncrustables consumed.
It's almost like I like that. I because a peanut butter and jelly is sometimes recommended by certain nutritionists after working out. You get your PB&J, you get your chocolate milk, good sugars, complex carbs, a little bit of protein, get you right back up ready for your day. Like in the nutrition world, a PB&J on maybe wheat bread isn't terrible with a sparing amount of jelly. Uncrustables are fantastic pockets of candy. That's what they are. And you made a good point that you can't have them because when I've had them, it's all I've eaten. It's wake up, one Uncrustable, it's in the freezer, pop it in the microwave you have to pop it in for like 12 seconds.
I used to eat them frozen. I used to.
You're a dirtbag. I've had them frozen.
I can't explain it. The frozen version of them is even better than the regular version of them.
You know what? You couldn't have said a more Joe DeLeone thing, because now all I can do is picture you just sitting down, looking at your phone, chomping on a Uncrustables that's frozen.
I'm not eating directly. I'm not eating the directly frozen one. What I used to do is because I didn't like heating them up. I don't want to eat a warm PB&J. I would take it out
put it
and
12 seconds. Then that's the perfect.
No. I would leave it. I would take it out and then I would leave it out on the counter. Actually, you know what? This is exactly what you and I used to. This is exactly what you and I used to talk about. I would leave it out on the counter to warm up for 15 minutes, and then I would come back to it, and then I would just eat this half frozen. I can't explain it. The
peanut butter was hard, the jelly was soft, the bread was nice and cold and textured. I get it. I've had a frozen Uncrustables before, but
Will is on fire right now.
Your lack of problem solving skills, or not that
problem solving skills.
It's a lack to find the best solution. Some of us, like myself, have found the best solution for heating up Uncrustables.
That's not a solution.
Put them in for 12 seconds. You don't sit them on the counter.
But I don't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I appreciated the process. It is like leaving out decanting a bottle of wine. You have to let it breathe a little bit. You leave it out. You take it out of the wrapper. You put it on a plate. You leave it there for 15 minutes, and then you eat half the half frozen.
Why did you want to wait so long to eat your Uncrustables? Because you didn't have to heat it up all the way. You could put it in for 5 seconds, and that would at least break down some of the hard peanut butter. There are options for you aside from me want sandwich, punk. And then come back 30 minutes later.
I don't want to hear you're judging. This is
here's the thing. Heating things up on the counter, it hasn't necessarily taken off with the foodies, but I think me and Joe could find the best foods to let naturally warm up. I think obviously bread. You gotta let that out. You gotta let that. But and Uncrustables, it's not the best way, Joe. And you know that.
I don't think you understand the process, and nor will you ever understand the process. One day I'll put you on.
Why don't we have a new flavor? It's grape and strawberry, and both are perfect.
What other flavors do you need?
I'm brainstorming. Maybe put a little chocolate in an Uncrustable. Make that a dessert one.
Fat ass. All right, let's get to these mailbag questions.
I mean, there's plenty of
raspberry's a good one. The chocolate one.
Well, you couldn't throw some bananas and peanut butter in there.
I mean, as somebody who's someone's
cooking.
daily breakfast, my breakfast is literally bananas and peanut butter. I wouldn't be opposed to that. I don't think a frozen banana would be very good. That's packaged.
That's why you heat it up. And
I'm talking about like packaged, preserved, sliced bananas stuffed into an Uncrustable. I don't think that vibes. All right, let's get to some of these mailbag questions. Anybody in the chat who wants to drop a question, feel free to. First one from our friends at Jackrabbit Illustrated. Great South Dakota State coverage. From all of the high-profile guys SDSU has in the draft this year, who is going first, and who do you anticipate getting drafted versus UDFA? 7 guys, either playing in the Hula Shrine or Senior Bowl. The obvious one to me is Isaiah Davis. The thing that gets really tricky for me, I think his talent is the highest amongst all these guys, but the thing that gets so tricky is he's a running back, and he's a running back with an injury and a lot of wear and tear and a lot of reps. So part of me is a little wary of what that is going to mean for his evaluation, and that a lot of NFL teams might be scared away from him. I think based on where Pierre Strong Jr. was selected with about the same amount of touches, that's going to come into play, but I don't see a reason why Isaiah Davis can't go early day 3 at the very least. Mason McCormick, probably I've gotten good feedback on being a late day 3 guy, potentially. Same thing with Garrett Greenfield, late day 3 versus UDFA, somewhere in that range. And then the Yankee Twins, potential for them as well. I think the one guy for me who I evaluated over the summer for RPM, that I think is a clear-cut UDFA or PFA is Zach Hines. Just not a very fluid athlete, little stiff, good hands, does enough as a blocker. He's a guy that just comes in camp and does a really good job and is like a practice squad guy, or ends up in the XFL.
I think it's Davis for sure. If not, it's some of the big meaties up front because O-line depth, and Warren Sharp pointed it out, it's at a premium in the NFL. So I think we're going to see more and more teams take chances on these offensive linemen in hopes that they can stay healthy and grow into professional, either backup or starting offensive linemen. And a lot of backups in the NFL end up starting at some point on that front five. So they stay healthy, they pass their tests, and they're athletic enough. I would say that the O-lineman and Davis are my big three.
Our good friend, Rack of Tits 69, has got 2 questions for us. By the way, I don't know if all of our listeners understand that we somehow ended up in a group chat with him in Chester, and it has to be, I don't read all the messages.
Not just them, and Chris Hammond.
It has become one of the stranger, and I don't really respond to most of the messages because any response is incriminating. But I'm entertained. I appreciate that this is.
I kind of like the chat.
If I found out that this show had an audience of 4 and it was that chat, it would make my year. But Rack of Tits asks us, can you talk about the new portal additions in long snapping world? Any names you guys are liking? Xander Eccles was a big get for us at Idaho this offseason and definitely my favorite Vandal player now. He's about to light it up in Moscow. Look, I'm going to bring this up really quickly. Xander, I hope you don't tune into the show. Rack brings this up because he discovered that Xander has been liking and commenting on OnlyFans models on Twitter. And
why are you outing the boy, Joe?
I'm not out.
You're out
commenting. He's going. He followed me, and I followed him back because I follow every college long snapper who follows me, and I appreciate it. And then I noticed this, and I don't know if I respect it or if my man just needs to have a little bit more just grace. I kind of respect it though. I kind of get it. You know, I don't know how to explain it.
Distraction, specialist distraction again. So I'm sorry I can't answer the first part of your question, Rack. I'm not that up to date with the portal additions in the long snapping world. So I'll own up to that one. For the second point of this, which I was unaware of, huge team distraction, not what should be happening. Control yourself on social media. Also, it's not illegal to make 2 Twitter accounts. Make a porn Twitter account if you want to. You are representing yourself.
Here's the
as an Idaho Vandal, part of the football program.
Here's the funniest part about it. And then I've got another point in addition to this. Wait. These actions are that of a 65-year-old man with a wife and kids. That his marriage is struggling. And, he needs attention from somebody. His wife doesn't look at him the same. So he's going and he's commenting on OnlyFans models' tweets. That's what this is. That's this action. And it's coming from a 21-year-old. And it's so goddamn funny. But I need to elaborate here for those that don't understand the specialist world. There are 2. You don't know that many long snappers. I know a lot.
I've met
disturbing amount. I know dozens of long snappers. There are 2 archetypes of long snappers. There are the degenerate, high maintenance ones like me. Okay. And then there are the goober ones like this that don't really have a ton of self-awareness. I've been around plenty of those. And I'm sorry, Xander, you fall into
how is he
in this bucket?
You know what? I like because that's literally the only 2 buckets you could have for the long snappers and specialists.
Yeah.
That's fair.
No. Kickers and punters are different.
Okay,
this is
fine.
Long snappers.
That's fine. He's not a goober. He's one of you. This is degeneracy. That's what it is. He's one of the degenerate, sicko, high maintenance.
I don't know.
Guys.
It feels like a George Coaster action.
Who was the dark-haired kid that long snapped for a little bit? 59
Griffin Sachs.
Griffin, yeah.
It's something Griffin would do, actually.
Yeah, not trying to out Griffin. Griffin's never done this, but he was a bit of a goober. Oof. You know what? Next question.
Okay. Next question from Rack. Gentlemen, have either of you seen the movie Miss March? Sean, might I suggest this for your next date night? What is this? I don't know what this is.
Miss March, and I watched it, I think, when I was about 12 or 13 years old. It's a romantic-ish comedy about a guy who wakes up from a coma, and his girlfriend is now a Playboy model. So he has to go find her.
This is a real movie?
Yeah, it's a real movie. It's not good. I don't think it's very funny. Craig Robinson scarred me a little bit in this movie for a specific scene, and if you've seen it, you know the scene I'm talking about. But I don't even know if I could describe the scene without getting booted off of YouTube.
All right, then don't.
It's a weird movie. I think it's a bit of maybe like a stonerish movie. Like it came
a rack
out,
movie. It's a movie
it's a
that
huge rack
like.
movie. If you are into butt rock, MILFs, and probably doing mushrooms in your basement, you would love this movie. If you don't fit all three of those characteristics, you probably wouldn't like the movie. But I actually could chime in on it. I don't know. It was good for a teenage boy to watch if he was interested in looking at a bunch of Playboy models.
All right, we got 3 questions from our friend Chester. We're not gonna answer this one. I'm sorry, but I have to read this because this is I verbally laughed when I saw that he commented this. I don't approve of this behavior. This question is, who's a worse parent, Adam 22 or Casey Anthony? I'm going to move on to the next question.
Read the hashtag.
No, I'm not. Do you think Old Miss can win a title next year? I placed a future on them, and I think that they will get more guys in the portal. I think it's a good bet because you can get it for good value, because I think other teams are going to get more action, because there's just this natural bias against Ole Miss because they failed to live up to expectations. So if there's a year for them to just not sneak their way, but be really good and to outplay those expectations, it's going to be 2024.
This Ole Miss push that we're starting to see is starting to feel like the Penn State push that we all gave this offseason before the season started.
I disagree. It feels more like the Florida State one, which is good and bad.
If it's Florida State, if they end up being this year's Florida State, then they do have a real shot. If they end up like this year's Penn State, there's no shot in hell. And I think they're closer to Penn State. And they're Ole Miss, and they're not going to do it. And they can't do it because Lane can't get over the hump. But maybe now that the big bad man from Alabama is gone, Lane Kiffin can do it. But this past season, he had so many opportunities, or a couple opportunities in his biggest games, to show me that he has matured as a play caller and was ready to really take it to the next level. And it didn't look. And Ole Miss pooped their pants, and they lost to Alabama when they had them on the ropes on a down team. No. I do not think that they win the championship. Maybe they make the playoff. Maybe. Probably.
Bad take. Last question from Chester. What was your favorite home-cooked meal as a kid? I'll let you go first.
I know Joe was a fan of gruel, so he doesn't need to answer.
It was a half warmed up Uncrustable.
Exactly. There you go. It was at home, and it was
room
cooked.
Temperature, half frozen Uncrustable.
Can't tell me it wasn't cooked, because it did heat up. I was always a big fan of. My birthday meal was always fried chicken, fried okra, mashed potatoes, real Southern meal. I think. I mean, that always went crazy. Jambalaya. I'd say the fried chicken, fried okra, mashed potatoes combo, untouchable in my eyes.
I think just mac and cheese. I think it's just such an easy answer for that question,
dude. I already yelled about it, and I'm still thinking about it because I yelled about it. I'm going through all of our old shows from this year. I yelled about the mac and cheese take that I heard in my house about the Kraft mac and cheese versus home baked with the bread crumbs on top. Yeah. And one of my roommates is still adamant about the Kraft or Easy Mac being the best. I still have not. It's still haunting me. Good mac and cheese, homemade, has to be. You got the pasta, you're melting the cheese, you got the breadcrumbs, and it's being baked in an oven, not in a pot stovetop. Way different. Way different.
Question from
mac and cheese corner.
Question from Big Iron. Of the playoff teams in the FCS, who do you think had the best chance to make the playoff again and win the chip? I mean, outside of South Dakota State, I mean, I guess probably Montana.
Montana.
I mean, they just lost Clifton McDowell, but their whole run game returns. They've got a number of key players coming back. Probably Montana.
I don't know if I'd cast a vote for anybody in the CAA because I don't know who's gonna. I don't know.
Poffenbarger's gone.
Yeah, I don't know who's gonna make the playoffs for the CAA. Montana probably has the best shot.
I really like this question from Satoshi Guacamato. He's got a Bitcoin profile picture. If Joe and Sean both did all of the events at the NFL Combine, who would have the higher RAS? For our listeners that don't know what an RAS is, it is a relative athletic score, which is calculated based on a athlete's size profile, arm length, height. Actually, I don't know if arm length comes into play. Height, weight, and then math is done based on the formula is based on their testing numbers and what it means for their size profile. So a bigger guy who might run a slower 40, but is in a certain percentile for running that 40 is going to have a higher RAS. So I think the answer to this question is easy. I would probably run a faster 40 than you, and I might beat you in some of these categories, but you're going to win this because I'm not that much. I would need to run like a 4.5 to be so much faster than you to have that much better of an RAS. So I don't think that's like there's no way I win this. Sean, I mean, Ryan, you're right. Sean, by far, you're 6'6" and you're 320 pounds.
Oh God, that'd be great. 320 would be great. I don't even know. It's a mess. I'm a mess body comp wise. It's bad. That would be weird. I mean, my vert would be dog shit. 3 cone would be awful. 40, I need a good jump, and maybe I can get under 5.5. Maybe. And I'm saying that maybe I can get under 6.
I'd probably beat you in that. I'd probably beat you in the vert too.
I got you in bench.
Yeah, I couldn't even test bench. I'd have to abstain from doing that.
Broad jump. You might beat me by a couple inches, maybe. I don't know what your score was there. You definitely beat me on vert. I think I'm definitely beating you in the hands gauntlet for the receivers. I'm beating you as a quarterback. Coverage, you definitely have me secondary coverage. All lineman drills, I think I still hold up offensive line footwork. It's still going to be as bad or as good as it ever was. I think I take it. I think I take it.
Yeah, I don't think it's a debate. Closer. I'm not gonna argue with you here on this.
I'm glad we finally figured out who's the better athlete.
But that doesn't make you necessarily. I actually, you know what? I have been an admitted terrible athlete. I have said this before. I was not a good athlete. I just worked harder than everybody else. That's the only reason why I got onto the field. So you
were a better athlete than the long snapper before you, so you had that going for you. And then you were relentless.
The threshold wasn't very high. He tore his ACL because he was an alcoholic and top heavy. So it didn't really. There was not a lot of muscle recovery.
Still harboring resentment against him. You played freshman year, pal.
I should have been the full-time starter my freshman year. I could have gotten to 40 career starts if it wasn't for.
Mike Curry's a fucking legend, and you better start putting some respect on his name. That's what I'm
tore his ACL running in a straight line. I have never in my life seen a 20-year-old athlete tear an ACL running in a straight line. That doesn't happen unless you have old man shitty knees.
That's fine. That's fair, and you're not wrong. But tell me, you got to admit, Mike Curry, if you saw him at a party, you'd be pretty fired up. You'd have to be.
I'd say what's up, but I don't think
I'd be fired up. You have to be fired up.
Yeah, like he had like some deep relationship with Mike Curry.
He was my locker mate for a year.
I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I forgot you were on the island of.
I was
on
my.
They stuck him over there because
island.
Yeah, exactly. They stuck you and him over there because they knew you two were the biggest f ups on the.
I'm sure I was an f up
team. Our question from Ryan: who would win in a fight? 5 Joe-sized bears or 2 bear-sized Joes?
5 bears.
Yeah. The Bears are stronger.
Other way, even if it was, oh, wait, hold on. 2 Joe size. Okay, he got it backwards. It would be 5 bear-sized Joes or 2 Joe-sized bears. That's how it's supposed to be. If not, it's a crazy question. Either way, even if you were 5 of you were the size of a bear, I'm still taking the 2 bears that are the size of you. Because a lot of black bears and a lot of bears local to the United States outside of like the Yukon, they're not that big. They're not that big. It's like a big, it's pretty much Joe size, bigger than Joe, but it's a bear. So I am taking definitely the Bears against 5. If we were going to call them big grizzlies or even polar bears size Joes, I'm still taking the Bears.
5 Bears are Joe size.
You that's not a competitive hypothetical.
No, that's not a competitive hypothetical. All right. Great enough to wrap us up on. At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio. We'll be back, folks. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Talk to you soon.